So first thing you're going to need is a candle lid and some clay, and I've deliberately picked a candle lid that's got this shape at the top because that way the clay is going to have something to hold on to. So the first thing you need to do is cover it entirely in clay and then smooth it out with water. Once you've done that, we're going to start on the head, and you want to kind of mould it into a rough rectangular shape that fades out at the end. Make sure that you smooth out any kind of cracks in the surface. And next you're going to cut into what would be the sides of the rectangle shape, and you can use a modelling tool or a spoon. And once you've done this, we're also going to take a second modelling tool, or you can use your fingers, and we just want to hollow this out, and this is where the eye socket and the nose bridge is going to be. Now what we're going to do is basically cut down all the parts that we don't need and start adding things where we do need more clay. So just on the end of it, we're just going to cut towards the nose on both sides. Turning it onto the side, we're just going to cut from the bottom all the way up to his nose. Now we're also just going to shave off these parts too, because otherwise they're just going to look a little bit too bulky and it just won't look right, so cut these parts off. For the eye sockets, we're going to get two little small balls of clay, and you just want to press it into the eye socket before taking a small modelling tool and hollowing this out to get it to blend into the rest of the socket. It's very important that while you do this you make sure that it's really blended into the rest of it, because if it becomes dry and isn't really properly blended into the rest, it's going to fall off later, so make sure that it really sticks to what's already in place. His nose wasn't quite right and it kind of faded out when it shouldn't, so I'm going to add a little bit of a nose and blend it into the rest. Now start cutting out the rough shape of his mouth, starting from the nose, curling around the edge, and then creating the edge of his smile, before taking any kind of modelling tool and just working in it a little bit to make it a little bit deeper so that there's a difference between the upper part of his mouth and the lower part of his mouth. His ears are actually really simple to do. All you need to do is get a blob of clay in your hands and roll it until it's in this shape. Then taking the edge of your finger, press it around your little finger, or if you want you could also use a modelling tool like this, just to create that curved shape of the ears. And then you want to figure out where exactly you want it to be placed on the head. Once you've figured out where you want the ears to be placed, make sure that the back of them are wet so that they really blend into the clay that's already there, and then blend it in. To get it to stick to the candle lid, you're going to need to hollow out a little space just underneath so that it fits nicely. Make sure that the clay is wet and then stick it down. It's going to be a little bit loose, but it's okay, we're going to get it to stick by adding more clay over it. Now we're going to slowly start adding little bits of clay to join the head and the candle lid together and make sure that they're really well blended together. You can use your fingers or a tool for this. To make the edges of the crown is really easy. You just want to get a roll of clay, cut off the end so that it's perfectly smooth, and we're going to connect that to the bottom of the jar and then just curve this around the head. And you're also going to do exactly the same to the other side. And once you've done that, just fill in all the gaps. Once you've filled in the rest of the crown, you just want to smooth it out, and I'm mainly going to be using my fingers for this. And the easiest way to do this is just to spray it with water and then just start working in it with your fingers. Now we're going to start cleaning it up and cutting away everything that doesn't need to be there. So we're going to start off from the back of the head and just cut this till it's perfectly smooth. And then we're going to create 2 more edges on the side, one right here, and then one which is facing more towards the nose. Once you've cut the edges, just spray your fingers with water and then start working onto the clay until it's perfectly smooth. And if you need a smaller tool to just kind of shave away the edges, then go ahead and do that too. You could also use a craft knife if you want, that would also cut really well. Once you've finished shaving all the edges off, you just want to take a few more minutes to make sure that everything's really neat and smooth. And if you need to do something like clean up the edges of the ears or just make sure that the joints in between things are perfectly smooth, then take the time to do that. Wipe away any of the clay that might have settled at the bottom. And you want to wait about a day or 2 for it to dry before spraying it with black spray paint. Once you've given it a good coat of the black spray paint, you want to wait for that to dry for a few hours. Now we're just going to move on to a gold nail varnish and we're going to start decorating it. Once you've finished with doing Anubis' head, we're going to move on to the jar, and I've also spray painted this black, and I gave this one about 3 coats, and I'm just going to finish off by drawing on a cartouche. If you're not sure what kind of cartouche to go for, then just have a quick look on Google. You could go for Cleopatra or Ramesses I or Tutankhamun, whichever one you prefer. And that's it, you're done!